This is Craig Rayleigh on the tutorial on HTML. This is the first step, and this is just what websites are and the basic concepts of browsers and how they translate it into what we see, as well as the transfer. Now, first I just wanted to go through the screen layout because this is the first video of this kind, and also I would like some suggestions. One, I would also like you to comment on how you would want me to introduce these videos without the word potato. And how you want me to close these videos. But I've also got the screen layout here, so I've got me explaining stuff on the right hand side here, notes that I would be creating anything large you want, and the main content over here. And just any other suggestions that you would want to create in these videos, just please post it in the comments below. The first thing I wanted to discuss is the concept of the internet. Now, to understand the internet, you've got to understand that the internet is just a whole bunch of interconnected servers that work on a similar protocol suite, which is your TCP/IP protocol suite. And this just allows us to communicate with various different servers, fetch different things from it with multiple different technologies. Today we're going to be focusing on the World Wide Web, but you've got to realize that there are other technologies like video streaming, file transfer protocols, emailing, virtual private networks, blah 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 blah. The list goes on and on and on. There's a whole bunch of different technologies that run over the internet, and one of them is the World Wide Web, which transfers text, which then your browser constructs and receives any images that are needed and builds what you see. So just to show you more details of this, let's say we take a site like google.co.za, and we wanted to connect to this. When we type in Google, so I'm going to do a tracer. Now, a tracer traces the route which my packets, if I go and I request to receive information from google.co.za, every single intelligent device it gets to, when it gets to an intelligent device, it can actually look into the packet and find out what the information wants to receive. It will then return information about that intelligent device. So that's what the function tracer does. Now, if I go to google.co.za, I'm not saying www.google.co.za, I'm just trying to get it to the Google server. So you could be doing multiple different things on that server. And we're going to be, so when I type that in, you'll see the first intelligent device is my home router, which is 192.168.1.1. From there, it will need to find my, which is not finding right now, but it needs to find my ISP. So my ISP, it would first connect to my internet service provider. It would then go from there to the next location, the next server, to the next server, until it gets to the server which is hosting or is in control of the domain google.co.za. And you'll notice that google.co.za has been translated into an IP address. Now, an IP address is literally just a unique number for that server. So it's kind of like we all have full names, but we have ID numbers. It's the same kind of concept to that. And it is a 4-byte number there. We are moving across to IPv6 now, but yeah, we'll get into that much later. For now, so you see it goes through until it finds a server which has that. Now, it gets to that machine, and what does it do? To try to show this a bit better, I'm going to move to my server. Now, I have a Linux server, so I've got derangedsystems.co.za as my website. At the moment, I've just got it set up to redirect to my YouTube channel. But derangedsystems.co.za is based on a Linux server, and that Linux server has a management system called cPanel. And cPanel allows me to do various things: manage the files that are on the server, manage the FTP connection, so you can connect using file transfer protocol, backup items, the databases I have on there, so I can have a remote database management system. I could actually manage multiple domains and subdomains within this server, because all this really is disk space that I've got, and I can choose which domains get redirected to here, and which aliases, etc., etc., email accounts, how to get authenticated, calendars and contacts, and a whole bunch of different technologies that I can run from this server. So I've got a server that I'm renting out, and one of the things that I've got on there is I've got a World Wide Web address. In other words, I can have technology or have websites in there. I've got one page that redirects you to my YouTube account, but and a couple of other things. But yeah. So now if I take a look at my actual file directory, you'll see there that if I'm on my home page, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of different data. I'm not even all the rest of it, some backups, some FTP things and whatever. But you'll notice that there's one folder that says there public_HTML. And this is the folder that if a person typed in www.derangedsystems, it would go into here. And you'll notice that inside there is a file called index.html. Now, index.html is when it gets to a web server and it's a www, it knows, hey, I need to look for the index. Now, a Linux-based server, in this case sensitive, will need to be a small I, so just be careful of that. If it's a capital I, it will not pick that up as the home, but also it could be index.php, anything with a small letter I. And it would pick that up as being the index and it would do what it needs to do. If you take a look at my index.html, it's very simple. I'm not going to go into details of the code, but literally all it does is it redirects you to, you'll see, to YouTube over here. So just redirect my content through to YouTube. Anyway, that's only sites, and I've got a couple other subdomains and blah blah blah, things like that. But the most important thing here is this is all a website is. It will pick up the HTML file and it will receive that. So if I go to another more complex site, like for example AfriHost, which is my, let's say Defix, which is a company, a friend of mine who does home renovations and repairs, etc. If I right click and I view the page source, you'll see that it comes up with a whole bunch of different text. Now these are instructions that HTML code. So you'll see it starts off by saying, hey, it's an HTML language. And we are coding, and this instructs the browser on how to build what you see. So these instructions are very easy and quick to download. It would then say, okay, fetch this image and place it over here. This must be this color, this must be like this, blah, 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 blah. Repeat this image repetitively, etc., etc., etc. All this code does things like that for us. It instructs the browser on how to construct what we see. So it gets the code and then it constructs what we see, so we don't have to download so much data. Now, how do you get about, we've gone through the idea of here, and you'll see in your notes I go through the idea of a domain name server. Now your DNS servers translate defix.co.za or deranged systems or Google or whatever. It translates that into an IP address so that it can physically get to that location, and then depending on what type of protocol you're running, it would retrieve different information and how it would send it back to you. Now, another big thing here is when you want to host a website, one, you need a server which has got either a dynamic DNS, which is basically you can swap between IP addresses, almost have a static IP address, so that you can register it to there, and when you type in this domain, it will know where to find it. Whereas us as users on the internet, often what our home accounts are only big, if we haven't running a big server at home or anything like that, we actually connect to our ISP, and our ISP then in turn connects us to the internet. So we don't get a static IP address. There's no way we can associate unless we're using a dynamic DNS, but that's future. Anyway, there's no way we can associate a domain name directly to our home computer, because our IP address would change. It would never be the same depending on when we open up the connection or when the ISP releases us a new. And if we ask the ISP, hey, we want receipts up, then we go out. So you need to rent a space on a server. And one of them is AfriHost. There's a whole bunch of different companies. I even host some websites. And from there, once you've hosted that website, you then need to register that domain with your local, your country's registering bureau. So for example, I'm in South Africa, so mine is co.za, and you see literally the address is literally just co.za. You type it into your browser, it'll redirect you to the ZACR central registry. And you fill in the application form, which is literally a text file that you need to fill in and email back following the instructions. So you download it as a .txt, and you must make sure it's still just as a TXT, it mustn't be any enriched text formats whatsoever, and you'll send that through. And you'll point it to whatever your host's static IP address is, and they'll give you a backup and blah blah blah, backup IP addresses, and you'll fill that in. The application form looks like that, but I'm not going to go into details of that because that's also you can investigate on your own time if you want to. And you'll see there's also things like who is. You can find out if that domain name has been registered. So for example, if I want to create a site called bacon.co.za because I like bacon. And you'll see there that it's registered by Reggie. Damn it, my guy's family trust. That sucks. So a guy has got the coolest domain name ever for his own personal family's trust. Not cool, man, not cool. But anyway, yeah, blah blah blah. So you can find out that information, see if your domain name is available, etc. And you'll often find your host companies will often offer to do that for you, but quite frankly, you save yourself money from doing it directly, and it's easy enough to manage. And also then you have direct control over the .co.za, which is better. Otherwise, if you ever change hosts, they are legally obliged to move the domain name, but it can be a little bit more challenging. Okay, so we've gotten the idea that literally when you type in www.whatever.co.za, it will redirect you, the domain name server will redirect you to the location you want, the server that is on. And that server on, depending on what technology on it, will then return various different data or get you into whichever different structure. And if you use the World Wide Web, it will take you to your index.html, which is a language which will construct your web page. Personally, I use a content management system for things like defects so that the users can edit it. So he hasn't done much work on it, but you'll notice that there's a whole bunch of different technology you can mess around with, but all we're going to be going through is we're going to be going through how to work with, because no matter what field of web design you get into, even if you're using WYSIWYG editors, you're using content management systems, you're doing XML language, for example, for Android development, it's often the base fundamental is HTML. You need to understand how HTML user interface works and the structures with divs, etc., and how that functions. So we're just going to get into the basics of HTML. And we're going to get into cascading style sheet. But this is the overview of the theory behind what websites and web pages are. I hope this video has been good, and remember, let me know what you think the hellos and goodbyes and intros should be for every single video, and I'll try to get a standard layout going, common look and feel. That's always important when designing your websites. Bye.